Hello, it's me. I'm back. So yeah, this video title is true. I am a nomad. So I will get into that. Just know that this video is pretty much just gonna be me talking. So if you feel like you want to do dishes, take out the garbage, go somewhere, you can just I'll take this with me. You don't have to look at me. I'm just gonna be talking. I have my friend, but not just friend, spirit animal here in the corner on the side of me, the giraffe. And it's interesting, we're kind of matching, right, in colors and patterns today. But I've noticed that ever since I've been on this nomadic journey, that the giraffe has been popping up for me. It's like a spirit animal, and I've kind of come to a space as to what it means for me, because it's popped up in every single situation, every single space I've been in, being nomadic, and realizing, okay, in every single space situation, like there's a meaning behind it for me. So realizing that the meaning first, if you look it up, you look up giraffe, which I was like, okay, it keeps popping up, like what does this mean? For me, initially when I first looked it up, it meant like brave, like being brave. But also like keeping your head above the pack, like being able to like see things that maybe others can't. I was like, okay, interesting, right? And then it kept popping up, but then at a certain point it kind of paused, and then it came up again, and I was like, okay, maybe the meaning here is different, right? Maybe I need to take something else with me in this moment. Looked it up again, did not see brave anywhere. And I was like, first time I looked it up, I saw brave. Then I saw graceful. I saw it meaning that if you look at the giraffe, the mechanics of the giraffe in regards to like where its organs are, of course it has like its long neck, like it shouldn't necessarily really even be alive because of its like long neck and how it positions itself in regards to like putting its neck down to like get water, putting its neck up, like consistently back and forth. According to science, that's supposed to be even impossible that the giraffe is doing that. So it kind of shows that something that seems impossible can also be possible. I realize it's also been showing for me that sometimes, you might have to stand out. And sometimes your uniqueness is what makes you you. So if you feel like, all right, Kadeem, I'm done listening to you, at least take this part of the message with you. That your uniqueness is what makes you you. Huh? Did I say something? I'll say it again. Your uniqueness is what makes you you. Sometimes we think that uniqueness could be a weakness, but it's not. It's just something that makes you unique. So tap into that uniqueness, knowing that that is what makes you you, right? As long as you're not hurting anyone, hurting yourself, right? But that uniqueness is what makes you you. Or I like to say, as long as you're not hurting anyone, but sometimes you might hurt someone, but it might be consensual, like in the bedroom. Slap, slap, whip, whip. But like it's consensual with like your partner if you're doing BDSM stuff. Anyway, this is supposed to be me talking about me being nomadic. All right, man. So it has been a journey, for sure. I'm still in this nomadic phase. So it all started the summer of 2022. My birthday is July 29th, and summer 2022, I was living in a nice apartment, very nice apartment in Brooklyn, New York. Floor to ceiling windows. It was like a new apartment. I was the first person to live in that apartment. Although it was a 1-bedroom apartment, it had 2 full-size bathrooms. I'll say it again. 1 bedroom, 2 full-size bathrooms. Why? because all the other apartments on the side of my building, because I was on the D side, so my apartment was 4D. I was on the D side. So all the other Ds, 1D, 2, well, not 1D, because 1D was different. That was just its own different setup. But like 2D, 3D, 5D, 6D, 7D, it only has 7 floors. 7D, they were all 2 bedrooms, like 2 full-size bedrooms. So mine was a 1-bedroom flex essentially. So it had 2 full-size bathrooms. Because when I went up to someone else's floor above me, and I happened to look inside because it was like some water dripping. And I was like, knock. I was like, hey, there's the shower on. It's like something's happening. There's water dripping. Looked inside. Yeah, it was like where my living room was is essentially where there was another bedroom. And I was like, huh, interesting. Anyway, it was very nice building, and the management was overall great. It was great, and I would say that was like my first like apartment for like myself. Like that was like my first apartment. Like, cause prior to then I was living in a basement apartment, basement studio apartment, but it was like a family house. My grandmother owned it for a long time. Then after she passed, well, my grandmother and my aunt owned it for a long time. After my grandmother passed, my aunt then just owned it, basement studio apartment. Had that for like 8 years. And at a certain point I lived in California, and that was a whole experience. If you want to look into that experience, read my book. The name of the book is a long title. A spiritual guru walks into the house of a cash master, and the rest is history. Go check that book out. It's a very short read. It's like 96 pages. It's in paper book copy. It's an audiobook copy. It's an e-book copy on Amazon. Maybe I'll put the link in the video, like description box somewhere. Yeah, and that was an interesting experience, and I did that. And then moved back to New York. And then after I was back in New York for about maybe 9-ish months, I moved into this apartment. It was great. And that was, I think I moved in, probably moved in like September. Right, because my lease was for a year. So my birthday came July 29th, 2022. And when people tend to ask me, maybe people ask this to you too, like they say, oh, how do you feel being another year? Like when it's your birthday, how do you feel being like another year? And my grandma always used to say, the same I felt yesterday, when I was a different year. So like usually like I'm like, oh no, I tend to feel the same as I did yesterday when I was the other age I was. Today I don't necessarily feel different. But this birthday, I'm trying to give you my age. So sometimes I forget this. I'm like, what's my age? How old am I? I'm officially, right now, because it's June still, 32. I know y'all are shocked. I thought I was much older. Most people do. 32, I'll be 33 next month, right? July 29th. So this particular birthday, when I turned 32, something felt different. Couldn't really explain it. Feel like I still really can't explain it. But it was almost like there was a different energy that came into my being. Like a different force. Like it's something different. Like it's like, okay, now it's time for you almost like to pursue your mission and you're ready. So now we're going to give you this energy that you need to now pursue this next mission in life. That's kind of what I kind of translated as. But it was different. It wasn't necessarily good. It wasn't necessarily bad. It was just a very different energy. And kids, like little kids can sometimes like sense and intuit like sometimes things that we maybe can't see or intuit because they're still very much closer to being born, which means that they're still very much closer to their like original soul sense, right? Coming from the soul being born. And before sometimes the world tells them, what are you doing? You're crazy. That doesn't really exist, right? Their faculties, psychic faculties are still open. So I remember about 2 weeks before my birthday, had this little kid look up at me, did not know me. I did not know him. He looked up at me. It was like, happy birthday. I was like, Oh, thank you. Like, my birthday is coming up in 2 weeks, but thank you. And I noticed something interesting is that I know for myself, I can't speak for everyone else, but I know for myself that sometimes about 2 weeks before something happens, physicalizes, I tend to get a sense of the energy of it. What I mean by that is, like, I think about many times in my life where things would happen. So, for example, like before I moved into my nice, amazing Brooklyn apartment, I had a sense about 2 weeks before. I was like, oh, it's time for me to leave where I'm currently at. I remember 2 weeks. I remember at this point when I was solely pursuing a career in choreography, and I applied to Disney to choreograph for them. And I remember 2 weeks. I remember I applied, and I didn't hear anything back from them. I remember 2 weeks. No, I remember also, I'll say one day I was like, why is Disney popping up for me in my meditation? And like 2 weeks later, I got a call from Disney saying, hey, we liked your information. Can you submit this stuff to go on to the next round? Then there's been other multiple examples in my life where it's like, I intuit something, I feel something, and then it happens 2 weeks later, which lets me know, I believe, my own belief, personal belief, is that before an event happens, before someone comes into your life, before an opportunity comes in, before a change occurs, the energy of it really solidifies about 2 weeks before it happens. And then it takes maybe 2 weeks for it to maybe like materialize in physical form. Anyway, so that was, 2 weeks before my birthday. The kid was like, happy birthday, right? My birthday came in, and I guess maybe he saw that there was some different energy, right, that was coming into my being. So birthday came, felt different. I was like, something here feels different. That was the 29th. By July 31st, I was like, I need to move. I can't stay here any longer. I need to now minimalize my life. And I was like, oh, that's not something I would have thought about a few months ago. Like, why is that what I'm feeling? So I went with it. And told my peoples in the leasing office management I'm not coming back. Gave them my 30 days notice, which was perfect because, again, my lease started in September. So it was like, I felt that I needed to leave, right, that moment. Within myself, July 31st. So I would tell them by August 1st, I'm not coming back. That was my 30 days. So that was like perfect timing. On Facebook, there is something called Buy Nothing groups. So at this point in time, I was living in Brooklyn in the area called, what was it called? Why am I blanking on the part? Oh, Kensington. Living in Kensington, Brooklyn. And in Kensington, there's like this Buy Nothing group, Kensington. So went to the group, told people, hey, I'm moving, minimizing my life, come to my apartment, get things. And they did. I told folks to come at a certain time at 10 a.m. Again, I had a very nice Brooklyn apartment, so I was able to, like, when someone was at the door, I was able to kind of see, right? Oh, who's at the door? Right? There was like a camera. And I know by like 9:30, people were messaging me saying, hey, Kadeem, I'm outside. Wanted to make sure I was online. And I was like, online? What that mean? Sure enough, I looked in the camera to sort of see, y'all, there was a line outside of my building. And not fully around the corner, but I was lying outside the building and then kind of made like a little curve. People were like waiting online to come into my apartment to like get stuff. So folks came. I mean, this wasn't like I told people to come August 2nd, right? This is like later on. This is like the day I was moving out. I told folks to come and get stuff. So this is maybe like August blah, blah, I don't know, 29th, maybe 28th, 29th, people came and got stuff. My apartment was filled. You know, thinking this max, they had like 20, 25 people, and I have a video of that. Maybe I'll show that here, of people kind of coming, not ramming, but rushing through my apartment to kind of get things. And yeah, it felt great, you know, to give things away. I also felt a sense of relief. I was like, oh, like there's so many things I feel like I don't have to now focus on, because now I'm, you know, living my life from 2 suitcases. That's it. And yeah, I was like, all right, so where are we going? Like, all right, like I was told this intuitively, so now where are we going? Right? So I was intuitively told, again, through all the signs and messages, meditations, literally signs I kept seeing, okay, we're going to Texas to Austin. Went to Texas to Austin for 2 weeks. I guess learn what I was supposed to learn there, get what I was supposed to get there, thought I was supposed to be setting up a life there, but it was like, no. Like, you're being nomadic. Like, you are in this space of exploring. So went to Texas, was there for 2 weeks, came back to New York. My family thought I was going crazy, which I guess I could understand, like, what's wrong with him? Like, he's living in this nice Brooklyn apartment, he was giving things away, like, is he maybe gonna commit suicide? Like, what's about to happen, right? So there was an intervention. People thought I was going crazy. I was like, I'm not. I'm just following my intuitive sense. It might seem like I'm crazy because this is something that no one else in the family has done before, but this is what I'm feeling within myself, right? So intervention happened, and that's a whole nother story for a different time, and which might be part of my next book that I might write. And then after Texas, then I was just living in different parts of New York City. I was in Queens, I was back in Brooklyn, currently in the Bronx, boogie down, okay, in Bronx. And it's been a journey, and it's been difficult, because I'm like, why do I feel like I'm not stable? Because I feel like for me, the way I've been taught is like, you must have job. You must have place to stay. That is stability. And it's like, yeah, okay, maybe for some people, but realizing that everyone has their own life they have to live. Everyone has their own journey that they have to go down. And realizing this is my journey. Like, this is my journey right now. I'm realizing to like be nomadic, and like, that's okay. And like realizing like, oh, like why am I doing this? Why do I feel uncomfortable? Like, what's happening? But I feel like I've gotten into the groove of it now. I'm like, oh, okay, this is kind of cool. I kind of enjoy sometimes just like going from place to place and kind of exploring new things and kind of meeting new people, which has also been really great. Like, getting a chance to really meet new people. You get a chance to kind of really know more about people and people's intelligence, sometimes people's, I don't know, people's characteristics. Sometimes, which sometimes may not always be great, because the place I was in Brooklyn, and I'll kind of say, being nomadic, I've been living in rooms, so I've had like roommates. I haven't had my own place. I always stay in a room maybe for like a few months, then kind of move. I did that, you know, when I came back from Texas. I was in a room in Brooklyn, then I was in Queens, and I was back in Brooklyn. Yeah, so it's been great in many ways. In other ways, I've been like, it's been a bit difficult and a bit of a challenge living with other people that I don't really know. Because, like, for example, the last place I was in Brooklyn, like, the lady decided not to give me back my deposit that I paid when I moved into the room, right? So, like, you know, other people's stuff, right? When you live with other people, you deal with their stuff. It's a whole thing. I think there's a video somewhere on here on this YouTube page about, like, when you live with other people, how, like, you're just not living. You think oh, I'm living with them. Okay, I'm living with them, right? Physically. You're also living with them energetically. You're living with them spiritually. You're living with them karmically. Like, whatever this person's karma is, like, you're essentially also living with that person and their karma and their energy, their personality, all their facets, their spirituality. We think it's just a physical person, maybe their emotions, maybe their mental state, but you're also living with a person in their energy, in their spiritual body. So, doing that, I'm like, okay, it's been interesting. Having to kind of adjust my vibration based off of where I'm living. And that's been quite interesting. I know this video is kind of like lagging because I don't know, it's like the internet here where I'm at right now in the Bronx is not that great. But, again, as I said, this is a video for you to like listen to. I guess like a mini podcast, maybe. Which I also had a podcast about 1.5 years, almost 2 years. And it was, I'm trying to think, maybe 40 something episodes I think I had on the podcast. Anyway, maybe I'll put that in the description so in case you want to listen to the podcast. What else? Okay, so nomadic, learning about other people and their things. It's been interesting. I'll also say, like, for myself, like, it's been freeing. Like, it's been freeing to just have 2 suitcases. And that's it. Living from 2 suitcases. And again, it's, at a certain point I was like, okay, I'm not used to maybe just living from two suitcases, having to sometimes go through my stuff, try to like find things, or not having maybe as much stuff as I once had. But it's freeing because that's the only thing I have. So I can use my mental space, emotional space for other things. And I'm grateful that, again, in this nomadic space, I don't necessarily have to have as much money, maybe, as I used to have, although it's always nice to have, right, money. But I think about the days of old, people used to be nomadic all the time. I remember reading social studies class in history about cultures that were nomadic. And I remember, even back then, reading about that, kind of going, that's an interesting way to live. And even back then, I'm thinking about it now, because I'm talking about it, I felt a connection to that. I felt a true connection to people being nomadic and reading about people in their life and history and their culture being nomadic. And I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. Maybe, I wonder how that would be exploring that. So here we are, over 20 years later, and we're exploring it, right? And maybe I'm exploring it because, again, back then I felt a connection to that and to people kind of just moving about and kind of exploring different things. And I also realized I'm someone, I really enjoy traveling. So I think also being part of me being nomadic is also me traveling also. Just like different areas, meeting different people, which has been great. I've also traveled within my nomadic space. I've traveled to Chile, traveled to South Korea, which I feel like most of y'all watching may not even know because I did not tell a lot of people. I told like a handful of people that I was going. So like I feel like even within that, like it's been great to explore, right? I also realized again, like with me being nomadic in today's world and culture, that there's a certain sense of wealth I have to have. Not necessarily financial wealth, but a certain sense of time wealth for me to kind of go out and be nomadic and explore. A certain sense of health wealth for me to be healthy enough to kind of go out and explore. Don't necessarily have financial wealth right yet. Maybe that's coming. But there's a certain sense of like my work being online. Not all of it, right? But there's a few things I have online that I kind of set up, which I'm like, okay, this is helping me at least survive, right? So that's been helpful. I don't necessarily have to go into work 5 days a week, right, to do something, which I was doing before, so it's right, it's different, right? So my life, I feel like I'm kind of reconstructing a new life for myself in this season. And that's something I also realized at a certain point for about a week, especially leading up to me leaving when I was kind of doing international travel, going to Chile and South Korea. About a week before then, I kept seeing construction workers. Almost like they were surrounding me. Remember on the train at one point, I was sitting down next to one. Another point, I was kind of going through this block and they were kind of all like surrounding me. They were like maybe it was like their lunchtime, but they were on like break. And they were just like on the 2 sides of the block, just like surrounding the block. And I was like, this is interesting. you know. There's been other instances with construction workers that I've kind of come in contact with, like within that week before I was leaving for Chile. So, you know, again, I feel like life speaks to you in different ways. We all get signs in different ways. Sometimes the signs, though, aren't always so clear. Right? Let's just be honest. Sometimes it's like, oh, was that a sign? I don't know. Was that a sign? But I know for me in my life, and maybe this is true for you, maybe something you can maybe look back at your life, repetition. Like, if something keeps repeating itself over and over, then maybe it's meant for me to sit and process, like, what does this mean? Right? So the fact that I keep seeing giraffes, right? Like, what does that mean? The fact that I kept seeing construction workers every day and kind of how they were surrounding me. That sounds very sexual. How they were surrounding me. How they were surrounding my space, right? Every day leading up to me going to Chile, right? So I realized that, like, for me, repetition. Like, before I was going to Texas, like, I kept seeing Texas, and everywhere I was going, license plates. I would watch something on TV. There would be in Austin, Texas. I would be calling someone. Oh, yeah, I'm in Austin, Texas. Oh, okay. Right? So, like, it was like repetition. Like, it kept coming up. So maybe for you, you're like, why does this thing keep coming up? Or like, why do I keep seeing this number? Why do I keep seeing this pattern? Why does someone keep calling me? Not someone, but maybe, like, why do I keep being called, hey, Tiger? That maybe there was something there. Maybe you're meant to tap into a tiger essence, right? Maybe that pattern that you keep seeing, maybe it's meant for you to, maybe if you're a designer, maybe it's meant for you to maybe look up that design and figure out maybe what it means. Maybe it's meant for you to, like, design that pattern, right? So, like, realizing that there are certain things that keep coming up. So I know the pattern comes up for me externally, but then sometimes I know that sometimes I also get spoken to. Like, internally, I get a feeling, and the feeling is then sometimes translated into a word or a thought or a message as well. So all I'm saying, really, I guess, and this is maybe part one of this video. So for all three of you that watch my videos, thank you. For the three of you that watch my videos, I appreciate it. So I'm thinking that maybe I'll end it here because this has been almost a half an hour video. Been talking for a very long time. And that, you know, a part of my nomadic journey is also me, not a part of it. This nomadic journey for me is tapping into my inner self. Realizing that there is an inner calling for me to be nomadic in this season. And I'm supposed to get what I'm supposed to get from this season of being nomadic. So maybe for you, in your life, that there is an inner calling within you that makes you unique, but that others may think you're crazy. Others may think that you're not okay. Others may think, what are you doing? You're going against the grain. That's not the way we've done things for years. And that's okay. Because you are your own person. No one else can go down your journey and experience except you. And if there is something within you that is calling you to do something, to move a certain way, to be a certain way, that helps you fulfill a certain part of yourself, helps you live out your purpose, then go do that. Because there's only one you in this world. So pursue your you-ness, your only one you-ness in this world. Pursue your uniqueness, pursue your life, and go after it. That's all for today. I guess if you like this video, if it gets, I don't know, over 1 million views, maybe I'll make a part 2 of my nomadic journey. But yeah, I feel like this is what I needed to say for now. Okay, thank you so much. Have a good day. Bye.